All right, so here's how I made this beat. I started out in Serum. I was just in one of those kind of moods when you kind of get a little bit sick of using the same presets like over and over. This one, I started off with a sine wave, and then I just added a little bit of unison to it, and I just pulled in the detune so you can just like subtly hear it. And then I went with FM from B, and I added a square wave in and just like subtly added that in as well. I think what I'm starting to realize is like I really like sine waves and just how clean they sound. I really like the sound of bells as well, so I just kind of like made this bell envelope basically just like a sine wave, and we're just adding a touch of things here and there just to add a little bit of character to it. There's a lot going on, but essentially the melody is only kind of like this long. As usual, like I just start off with like a small pattern, and then I basically just duplicate that and then start changing things around a little. And then we kind of get to this complex looking melody. So this is my progression, which goes 1, 6, and then 3. So when it lands on 1, the 1 is just stacked with the 5th. Then we're using the 3rd over here, and then we're using the 7th. So notes that I frequently use, super effective, and I recommend just like playing around with those kinds of notes. If we go back up the top here, we've got the 3rd here again. Use that a lot. 7th. And what's this one? This is the 2nd. Then you'll notice like I've got similar notes up the top. So I'm playing around with the same notes, but I'm just changing the voicings. It's just basically about the rhythm and how they just like interrelate with each other. This is probably a great time to mention that if you're somebody that struggles with melodies or music theory, I upload all of my Ableton project files onto my Patreon. So there's unlimited access for all my Patreon members on there. If you ever have trouble with coming up with melodies or creating MIDI, you can kind of just go into my sets and deconstruct them and look at the notes that I use, look at the chord progressions that I use, reverse engineer them. Basically, that's the way that I learned how to make melodies and come up with ideas. So I just wanted to share that with you guys so that you guys could learn the same way that I did, because I found it super effective. Check that out if you think that that would help. It's $7 USD a month. You get every Ableton project file from all of my YouTube videos, and it also includes my stash kit. So the next element in this melody, I was trying to write like a B section and couldn't come up with any good ideas. So I had this lead that I made just with a little bit of glide on it. It's kind of like a sine lead, but it's using a different waveform. And then I just had this pluck in monopoly. So something that I find like super effective when this kind of thing happens, and I feel like it's good, but it just still kind of feels a little bit stale and I want it to just sound better. I just create a new audio track below it, and then I record the melody into that. From there, I take the audio and then I drop it into the Ableton Simpler, which is a sampler, and I just chop the sample up. Then I just put a delay on it, just a ping pong delay. And then I ran it into Rhythmizer, which is basically gross beat. This is just like a volume automation. And then I put it into this plate reverb. Then I just wanted to come up with an extra section to make it a little bit more interesting. So I used the resampled audio once again. So this is our resampled audio just here. I chopped off this end bit and deleted it. And then I did the same over here, just like that. And I sliced up these into single note increments, and then I just highlighted them and hit R, which like reverses the audio. So it just gives it like this interesting texture. I then ran it into this delay and then also this plate reverb. I'm using similar processing on all of the instruments. The reason for this is just to keep the whole mix cohesive. Just gives the whole melody a feeling that it all belongs together. I then came up with this hi-hat and snare pattern. And then I layered it with this percussion. All of these drums, by the way, are included in my stash kit, which comes free with the Patreon membership. I then made this 808 pattern, and it's just like lands on all of the root notes of the melody. I then switched out the 808 for a second section, and I just use a couple of different notes. I just like to get it to land on the fifth. Just gives it like a different sound and creates more of an impact for a B section.